Hello to those listening. This is an orator here with the freest of speech. Now, this time I would like to talk about good and evil and the fact that they don't actually exist. Now, this subject matter came about because in conversations with associates of mine, they were saying things like Donald Trump, because we got to politics and talking about Donald Trump is evil. And I was saying to them, he's not evil. Then they just said, well, look at what he's saying about these people and look what he's advocating for and saying these things are, by their perception, is evil. So I'm telling them they are not evil. So they switched over to, well, he's not a very moral person. He does a very crappy morality. And this is where the conversation comes to the fact that good and evil doesn't exist. And it starts with three words. The first word is morality. Now, when we go to the dictionary and you look at what the definition of morality is, it says beliefs about what is right behavior and what is wrong behavior. Second, the degree to which something is right and good, the moral goodness or moral badness of something. Now, when we're talking about good and bad, it's the same as talking about good and evil. And the term morality talks about a person's behavior, the actions that they take. So you may be saying, well, if you don't agree with Donald Trump, you may be saying, well, yeah, this behavior, what he's advocating for, what he's pushing is wrong. He's immoral. Technically, will be evil. Or you might be saying, wait a minute, I agree with what he's saying, and I think he's right. Therefore, his behavior is not wrong. Therefore, it must be good. But you see, we need to go check out these other two words to really bring this together. An understanding about morality. And the first word is perception. And perception is defined as the way you think about or understand someone or something. Two, the ability to understand or notice something easily. And three, the way that you notice or understand something using one of your senses. Now, when we're talking about morality, and morality is all about behavior, perception is very, very important because it's whatever one perceives to be acceptable or unacceptable behavior becomes the way they view the person. Example, if you live in a part of the world where you have a very low life expectancy, maybe 30 or 40 years, you would become an adult very early in life. In most Western cultures, you become an adult at around the age of 18. But if you live in these specific areas of the world, you become an adult at the age of 12. Now, here's the thing, once you become an adult at the age of 12, you can actually become married. And the thing is, if you have a 25 or 30-year-old person being married to a teenager, Western culture, our perception of that is you're a pedophile and you should be incarcerated. But from their perspective, it's we don't live that long, and if we don't do it this way, we all die out. Now, this example brings me right into the next word, and that word is justification. And justification is defined as an acceptable reason for doing something, something that justifies an action. Now, if you notice the common theme in these three words that I'm using, it's all about a specific person's actions. And then the example of the people who happen to live in a regional world with low life expectancy, the justification for what they would there in other cultures, especially Western culture with higher life expectancy, look as pedophilia. They look at it as this is a survival strategy. We need to do this. It's justified because if they don't engage in this behavior, they die out. Now, to bring it even more closer together, let me give you another example. An example of a couple where one person totally has an ironclad grip on the money. Now, you come in and the person's telling you their so sad story about how their partner won't allow them to have any money at all, and you will sit there and be like, this person's actions are unjustifiable. That person is wrong. They are bad. You perceive them as evil. And they're evil, you are morally outraged against them. Until you go to the other person to tell them off, and they sit there and tell you that every time this other person has access to the money, they literally spend us into debt. Boom! In an instant, now things have changed, hasn't it? Because this person's actions, even though this person who may be your friend telling you the story may be your best friend, the thing is, even though you may have more sympathy towards them, this person's actions are justifiable. They exist for a reason. They exist to counter the behavior of the person. And because now you have a different perspective on why something is happening, you then no longer see the person as evil. Now you may see the person as good because they're doing something that has to be done and it's to the benefit of the person. This is what I mean by good and evil don't exist in this world. Nothing can be all good and nothing can be all evil. It is all about the way one perceives the world. It is how you see a situation. Even if you take something like Muslim extremists, guess what? People like me and you, or even if 99.9% of the world looked at them as wrong, from their perspective, they're not wrong. The rest of the world is wrong. They are justified in their actions. Our perception is irrelevant. Whether you look at a Christian terrorist who goes and shoots up abortion clinics and all that other good stuff like that, guess what? That person is justified in their actions. They are morally right because their perception is, I am doing good, you are doing bad. I can easily go down a list of all kind of examples repeating the same process over and over again. But I think I made my point. Perception and justification make morality. Morality makes good and evil. So, you may say that means that good and evil does exist. It just has criteria. But that's not the case. Because if good and evil exist, they are zero sum. You don't have it. There is no there. That means these things already exist. You don't have perception and justification. If you say murdering people is evil and not murdering people is good, you cannot justify it. Your perception is irrelevant. It is about your actions and you're morally good or bad. But that's not the world we live in. We live in a world where you can do something heinous like murder and be justified in doing it. You can do something heinous like restrict somebody. But if you have a reason for it that's justifiable, that changes the perception, you are no longer this monster. See, people, good and evil doesn't exist. Never has, never will. And I think it's time for us as a species to finally accept that and move forward in this world with clear eyes and open minds. This is an orator here with the freest of speech. Thanks for listening.